right-wing people like Yishai don't dare to admit and to realize the basic fact that they are in power for many, many, many years. And look what happens. We don't have peace. We don't have security. We just lost 1,400 people. We have like around 200 hostages in Gaza. I know
That's because of
families.
leftism, Barak, for
No,
God's
no,
sakes.
no.
It's not
This is
because of
not because
rightism. It's because
it's
we gave up Gaza.
it's
We
up.
fought. I
No,
was
no,
one of the
no.
people fighting the Gaza expulsion of Jews,
It's
which we said was going to lead
absolutely,
to this.
absolutely not correct. It's
And
not
and
because of
and
leftism, it's because of rightism. And
I,
I was also against what Sharon did in 2005 with Gaza because it was not the right thing to do. Just to remind you that at the beginning of this century, all the Arab world came together with the Saudi peace initiate. All the Arab world came and said, let's go back to June 67 borders, let's make a Palestinian state, and let's forget about violence forever and ever. Israel did not pick up the phone. Israel couldn't care less about the peace initiate, which all the Arab world was about to be part of. And now Israel is so heavily in shock. How did it happen? Now, needless to say, what happened at October 7th is horrible, is unforgivable. There is nothing, nothing, nothing which can justify what happened at October 7th. I know people, I have friends who lost their parents in the most horrible way. I have friends who have cousins and brothers and sisters and parents and grandparents now being hostage in Gaza. It's horrible, but it doesn't justify what Israel is doing right now in Gaza when 2 million people became refugees. More than 5,000 Palestinian kids were killed. More than 16,000 people in Gaza were killed. And what Israel is doing now is a revenge, is not making sure that people in Israel will live in confidence and security. What Israel is doing now is war crime after war crime after war crime and after war crime. And yesterday, I was very proud to take part in a demonstration here in Tel Aviv, calling for ceasefire, calling for bringing back the hostages, and calling for ending this war. The right wing have to realize that its way did not prove to be right. Now it's the time to change the perspective. Now it's the time to understand that power, violence, and bombing people will not bring quietness. It will only create more and more and more pain, blood, and suffering from both sides. It is so natural and it's so obvious to understand it, and I truly don't understand why not many,
let,
many more people are joining us
let me explain to
in
you.
All right.
this kind of
Let me explain to
demonstration.
you. I'll explain to you why.
Go ahead, Yishai. Go ahead.
Because unbeknownst to you, Barak, the folks at Hamas, when they see on TV you demonstrating, they're like, this is so funny. Come, everybody, look at this. There's one of these Jews demonstrating to stop the Israeli army from destroying us. This is great. Can we send this guy a check somewhere? Because they are like, these lefty Jews are always stopping their army from behaving like a Middle East country. And we're going to keep bombing them. We're going to definitely announce great victory and success at the end of this. And much of it is due to sweet Jews who think that violence doesn't solve anything when they don't understand how the Middle East works. Now, where did this is an amazing turnaround that Barak is offering us. He's telling us that this all happened because of too much strength. So funny. The only reason this happened is because Arik Sharon forced the Jewish communities out of Gaza. He created a Palestine gave it over to the PA. The PA was summarily thrown out and taken over by Hamas. And now folks like Barak say, but we got to keep doing that. We got to leave Judea and Samaria, which is the heartland of the country historically, and also the high ground. And then we'll give it over to the PA, and I'm sure things will work out. And everybody's like, and non-Jews on the airplane tell me, they're like, why would you give your land away to your enemies? That's so dumb. Everybody understands that.
Maybe because it's not your land. Maybe because it's not your land.
So then leave already, because you're not going to stay here,
No,
because you don't
I'm
believe
not
in
going.
God, and you don't believe it's our land, and you don't believe we have good policies. So why don't you just leave, because you're not going to last
Why would
here.
you say that, Yishai?
Why would you say that? Because he just said it. He doesn't like the policies of our country. He doesn't think it's our land. He said it's not our land. And he doesn't believe in the ethos of this region. People like him will not last at the end here. They will not last. He's here by the force of inertia. Okay, not because he's culturally Israeli, but if he was culturally American, he'd be out of here in the first place. The point is that you have to have a strength around here. You have to have a conviction. You have to hold the line against the jihad. You know, I was in Washington, D.C. I met a Kurdish activist, and I said to him, you know why you guys have problems with Syria and with Turkey? I said, the problem is that you're sitting on their land. Just give up part of your land, and then there'll be peace with Syria and Turkey. And then we just both laughed, because we were like, oh, the only people that ever say that are lefty Jews, because they think that by giving away your land to your enemy, you're gonna make peace. It's just
giving your land, giving back the land.
Okay, giving back the land that you're inventing. That somehow there was Palestinian people, but there was never Palestinian peoplehood. There was never a country here called Palestine. It was never even capital. It was a backwater farming place. We bought tons of the land. We won it in defensive wars from other countries altogether. The whole narrative that you're weaving is their narrative. And you don't like the policies of the state of Israel. You think that we're committing war crimes. You think it's their land by your own admission, and you don't have a connection to history or God too much. And so therefore, people like yourself are going to lose ground around here. It's a failure of radical imagination. It's a failure of understanding this region. And at the end, that's why the left is losing power in this country, because it does not have an exciting vehicle of passion to hold on, to fight for what's right, for what's ours, and it's allowing the jihad.
I have a lot of passion to fight for what is right in my eyes. I have a lot of passion. Unfortunately, I have to admit that I am the minority. You know, I'm not blind. I'm not stupid. I know where I live.
And I never thought. I think you're very smart and talented. I only wish you were on our side. That's the truth.
Why are you making the opposing sides here?
Because it is opposing sides, Jim.
He's right. Jim is right. Jim is right.
You can be non-religious, right?
Jim, I promise you that if myself and Barak were in the army, we'd both be fighting on the same side. But we're talking today about competing visions. That's okay. You wanted to have a conversation about competing visions. So we're doing that. We're not. That doesn't mean that if he knocks on my door and asks my wife for some sugar, he's not going to get it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he can't borrow a diaper, but I am saying that we have a different vision for the future of this land. I believe this is our land. I believe this is our historic land. I believe that actually pushing back on jihadism will actually lead to more freedom for more peoples, more Arabs and other peoples in this region. I think they are all suppressed by the jihad. When I was in Gaza before in 2005, Arabs said to me, don't give up this place. Don't leave. You don't understand the forces that are going to take over this land. Please, they said to me, please don't do this. You don't understand. This will destroy our lives, and it will destroy your life in the long run as well.
Yishai, you know what? This is, in a way, what I feel now about what's happening in Israel. Israel was taken by terrorists. Israel was taken by ultra racist, fascist, dangerous people like Itamar Ben-Gvir, like Bezalel Smotrich. Very, very dangerous people
that
are taken
by those people. Those people were voted in. Don't make it out to be like some charismatic leader took over the country. The people voted for them because they've rejected the leftist, godless, communist, land giveaway, weak Western attitudes. They want religion. They want nationalism. They want a connection to history, and they want a real way to fight jihadism. Nobody took power. We didn't take power. The people voted for it.
when you talk about jihadism,
Yes. Which, yeah.
what you're doing now is something which Israeli media and Israeli politicians are doing very successfully, which is so ugly. Basically, they are trying to convince people all over the world that Palestinians are Hamas. Hamas is like ISIS. So basically, Palestinians are like ISIS. So basically, what you are saying
Barak, is there
that
jihadism in the Palestinian society or not? Because recent polls say that Gazans, by about a poll of about 70, this is Palestinian polls, 75% support what Hamas did and Hamas ideology. Is that true or
there,
not true?
there are a lot.
A lot?
Wait.
Sorry.
There are a lot of extremers in both sides. There are people in the Palestinian side which I am terribly afraid of, and I will do everything possible in my hands to make sure that they will not be the ones who influence our life. There are also very dangerous and very violent and very racist and fascist people in the Israeli Jewish side. Some of them are sitting in the parliament, in the government. What we have to do is to bring more power to the people from both sides who are not so extreme and not so violent, people who believe that blood is blood, soul is soul, life is life.
I just want to remind you, Barak, I want to remind you that people like myself, some of the extreme right people that you characterized, they're actually my colleagues, and I'm not embarrassed about that. I want to tell you something. I am what an ultra nationalist in on the political spectrum. Guess what? I am the spokesman of Hebron. I sit every year at an iftar meal with one of the tribes, the Jabri tribe. No. Don't give me a break. You called my folks racist ultranationalists. We're the ones that are also, by the way, very pro the Abraham Accords. You forgot to mention that actually under Trump, which probably your camp doesn't like, and when we had Netanyahu at the time, we were moving forward towards regional reconciliation. Of course, the left never gave credit to us. See, we actually believe very much in Arab-Jewish reconciliation, but on a national level.
As long as the Jewish has more rights than the Arab.
In our land, not in regionally. Regionally speaking, I'm a nationalist. I believe that tribal peoples have a right to their tribal lands. I want the Arabs to be successful to live in their tribal lands, and I want to be successful and live in my tribal lands. I want cooperation, regional cooperation. You're right. I don't want to give away my land to anybody else, and I don't want people voting for jihadist parties. And by the way, your denial
that second-rate citizens in Israel, is that correct?
Not second-rate. The regional way of doing
things. Not have
things.
the same rights?
We have a regional way of doing things. Already 3,000 years ago, the Bible came up with a fantastic system called a resident alien. If you are an other tribe member and you want to live within our tribal lands, you are a resident alien. You are blessed. You have many opportunities. You have civil rights, but you're not going to direct the country in the same way. But guys, you guys are proving to me your point, the point that I made before. You're proving it all the time, again and again. You're talking about rights. You're talking about equal rights. This is the Middle East. There is no country here that offers equal rights. There's not one Arab country that has the vote. Not one. And yet you're talking about equal voting and this and that, and it proves what they say all the time. You are Western colonialists. And that's what I have to say, Jim, that my friend Barak, he doesn't know it, but he acts like a Western colonialist who doesn't belong. He's not even sure it's his land, and he wants Western colonialist ideas. And soon enough, people like him are going to get pushed out. I am talking like a Middle Easterner. I'm not talking about equality. I'm talking about my tribal lands and their tribal lands, and I'm willing to cooperate.
Control and domination, power and violence.
Every power in this world controls other peoples. Every power, including your beautiful America, controls other peoples. Every single power. Turkey,
maybe it's
Iran,
time to change that. Maybe it's time to have a radical imagination where that world is transformed.
And here's the radical imagination. The radical imagination is that our tribal land, Israel, is controlled by Jewish
tribal
people.
land. All right.
Our tribal lands, and our next door tribal countries are Arabs, and we'll have peace by working together for a better Middle East, but not by giving up our tribal lands and not sounding like a bunch of Westerners talking the Middle East, as one of the smart commentators here in Israel said. You're talking like you're eating sushi in a region that eats hummus. I'm not talking sushi. Okay, I'm talking like this region. There's one way to survive.